The Russo brothers confirm who died off camera in Infinity War. Right off the bat, let's get that spoiler warning out of the way because even though Avengers Infinity War has been out for 3 weeks now, some people, somehow, still haven't seen it, although I shouldn't be throwing shade since I missed out on Black Panther. So spoiler warning! It was hard not to get choked up watching so many Marvel Cinematic Universe heroes die in Avengers Infinity War. Heck, even Thanos himself shed a few tears when he was forced to throw his favorite kid over the side of a cliff. But if you think the MCU is done getting you all misty-eyed, think again. There were tons of beloved characters who were off-screen when Thanos snapped his beefy gold fingers and wiped out half of the universe's population. And up until now, their fates were left mysteriously up in the air, but not anymore. In a recent interview with the Huffington Post, Infinity War directors Joe and Anthony Russo clued us into what happened to a few of the MCU side players that you were wondering about, or at least some of them, as a few fates were deemed too spoilery to divulge. So, who lived, who got dusted, and who is still a big old question mark? Let's break it down. Starting off with the good news. The one character that we know you were all worried about is still alive and waddling. Howard the Duck. If he can survive his 3 martini a day habit, then Thanos' magic had no chance at taking him out either. And here's some more good news. Aunt May is still alive. Well, it's good news if you ignore the fact that she now has to deal with her nephew disappearing into space, never to return only a few years after her husband died. So maybe not so good, after all. Let's just hope that she can move on quickly because there are a lot of newly single men in the MCU, so maybe she can start dating again. As for who's officially gone, well, the Asgard theater scene suffered a huge blow as the Loki actor played by Matt Damon is deader than his career after Thor returned home. And speaking of Thor, Lady Sif seemed to escape death in Thor Ragnarok. She was apparently off on some other mission when the rest of the Warriors 3 were killed in that movie, but sadly it seems she was just delaying the inevitable as she was also dusted by Thanos. And finally, the last death the Russos would confirm is that of Bruce Banner's long-forgotten girlfriend, Betty Ross. Now, Ross hasn't shown up in the MCU in about a decade, so it seemed unlikely that she was ever going to reappear, Infinity Purge or no. But if you were someone who was holding out hope that she would one day return to finally break up Bruce and Black Widow, then you are out of luck. Now, it was pretty interesting to hear the brothers Russo tell us the fate of these off-camera faves. Question mark? Really? Faves? But what we find more interesting is who they refuse to confirm or deny in the interest of potential spoilers. One character the Russos wouldn't say was still alive or dead was astrophysicist and part-time Ether host Jane Foster. This is surprising because we haven't seen Jane since Thor: The Dark World. Now, we assumed that Jane had made a silent MCU exit, even though Natalie Portman had said she'd be open to returning. Bringing Foster back into the fold could definitely be a way to fill in some of the gaps in the Avengers lineup that Infinity War left. For the past few years in the comics, Jane has had the title of Thor, Goddess of Thunder, and wields Thor's hammer Mjolnir. It would be super cool if Jane Foster were to re-enter the MCU, having served as Thor in some other realms. Who knows? Maybe she got bored after the events of the Dark World and decided to go realm hopping for adventure. As for Peter Parker's bestie and guy in the chair, Ned, he was also considered too much of a spoiler to reveal whether he lived or died after Thanos' snap. Ned might have died? Oh, that's harsh. We would be very sad if Ned, in fact, did go dusty. But also, how could they kill off Spidey's sidekick when there's a definite sequel on the way? Feels like a strange move, but hopefully by not telling us either way, what they're really saying is that he's alive and well. Now, the Russos also shied away from confirming the fates of Korg and Meek, the breakout alien duo from Thor Ragnarok. Again, this seems like a strange thing to be quiet about, especially since way back in November, Kevin Feige went on record with Fandango saying that Marvel Studios has plans for Korg and Meek. So we're thinking Korg and Meek are probably alive and could even pop up in other sub-franchises like Guardians of the Galaxy, but the Russos are keeping their mouths shut about it.
Piss off, Ghost!
But even after this rundown of who's in ashes and who's still kicking, there are a lot of unanswered questions post-Infinity War. The Russo brothers wouldn't even give a hint about what happened to some of Wakanda's finest, like Shuri and Nakia. And what about Valkyrie? And did the Grand Master survive the snap? Did he lose half of his champions and scrappers? Jane Foster may be TBD, but is Eric Selvig still around working at the Avengers facility? And for God's sake, is Pepper Potts all right? Anyone? But what do you folks think? Will we get some answers in Avengers 4 as to who else lived or died, and why did we have to watch Groot die twice? That legitimately really hurt me. Let's discuss. It was like the only one of the deaths that really hurt me, actually. I was like, dude, too much. Be sure to like and subscribe, and mash that little bell to get notified every time we drop a new video, like today with our latest Nerdist Presents, which has everyone's favorite weird guy, Onyx the Fortuitous, meeting Deadpool in his new animated adventure. Check it out right now.